friend, the grizzled young veteran, Marty Roberts. Finally, we have some Blue Jays news to report. I know, Marty. The big news today, Monday, December 12th, is happy birthday to my dad. Yes, happy birthday to my dad. I
Happy
love
birthday
you.
to Joseph's papa.
Yes, my papa. That's right. But Marty, we had great cake from a good friend Serrano's. In Serrano's, I was highly recommended by your good friend Patricia, and
Isn't Toronto the
very
guy who
good
played
cake.
in Major League Baseball that couldn't hit a
No, no,
curveball?
that's Major League, and then that movie Major League Serrano or whatever. All right,
Yeah.
big news by the Blue Jays. They signed, and we spoke. We have a guy, Steve Carney, our good friend from Tampa Bay. He said it's a major acquisition. Kevin Kiermaier. We'll talk about that. But the Blue Jays have finally dipped their foot, or maybe their arms, into free agency, and they signed former New York Met pitcher. Go ahead, Marty.
Yeah, they got Chris Bassett. Oakland A's 2 years ago, pitched with the Mets last year. This is to me, I love this signing. 3 years, 63 million. It's probably about what the market was. You look at, Walker and Talon were the two guys maybe comparable. They were a little Bassett had better stats than him, but you know what? You can't go wrong with Bassett. Over the last probably 4 years, he's been one of the better pitchers in MLB. He's had a couple freak injuries over his career. Like in 2019, he missed a couple starts. But if you remember, in 2021, he took that line drive back to the face.
Yeah.
And he missed 6 weeks after having surgery. And the type of guy he is, he could have just went in and just started next year. No, he came back for the last, I think it was, he got 2 relief appearances. It came back just to throw. So we're getting a guy who likes pitching, is a ground ball type of guy, doesn't give up a lot of home runs. I like this. I really like this sign. Now you got Manoah, Gossman, and Bassett. And if Barrios comes back around to what he is, this is a solid four guys in this rotation that, might not. The top three, I don't think there's anyone better. Seattle might compare with them. But other than that, in the American League, I don't think there's anyone else that can compare with them. So I really am glad Atkins signed him. I was pushing for him or Syndergaard. I preferred Bassett. You can get him a little longer. But I really like this move, Joe.
All right. So now let me ask you this seriously. They get their pitcher. They get a center fielder who's. We'll touch on that. What more? Because now they still have some players and everything like that. But what more is there to do for the Blue Jays?
Well, they still have to go out and get themselves a bat. Like Kiermaier, they signed him. I wasn't happy with that move. But if he's going to be your guy coming off the bench to relieve Springer every now and then it's not that bad a move. The problem with Kiermaier is he's injured quite often. I don't think he's ever played a full year in the big leagues. Coming off a hip surgery now. So here's a guy that his main tool was defense. He could track down balls anywhere in center field. Now he's coming off of some hip surgeries. He's going to be the same. Jays didn't sign him for his hitting, that's for sure. He's like a 240 career hitter. They still have to go and get another guy. And the two guys that come to my mind are Conforto. Like I keep saying, I think, they'll get him. They could get him for a 1-year deal because he wants to prove himself that he can still hit like he did 2 or 3 years ago. And the other guy is Benintendi. That could make it right. That could make a big difference. Both left-handed hitters. Both get on base an awful lot of time. Right, 350 on base percentage. Conforto obviously has some more power than Benintendi. Benintendi doesn't strike out as much and has a higher batting average. So one of those two guys will look really nice. I know people are talking. Brantley. I just think Brantley's a little long in the tooth now. I don't think he's the guy that you go out and get. He's another guy that's injury prone, always
Bradley and
hurt.
Springer, they know each other and all
Yeah, but
that.
you can't go and give him this whatever he's going to want. He's probably going to want like a 2-year contract at $10 or $12 million per season. You could spend that elsewhere and a guy who would play regularly. Brantley's not going to play regular because he's over his career he's been hurt an awful lot. Yes, he can hit. When he's in there, he can hit, but his numbers are declining over the last few years. So I would like Benintendi or Conforto. Those are the two guys I think the Jays should now focus on. They got their starting rotation taken care of. Yes, they could tinker a little bit in the bullpen. There's still a couple guys out there that, like I've said before, Chaffin and Taylor, that I would like to see. Or do they just say Pearson's our guy going in the bullpen and we go with what we have there? But they need to get one more bat, because you're looking at their lineup from last year. And if you take it that Springer, Bo, and Vlad are going to have the years they had last year, okay, that's great. Now Kirk had his career year last year, or at least that's what it looks like. You're relying
Have to
on
replace the bat of Hernandez, 25 home runs.
right. So you have to
yards.
replace that bat. So you're relying on two guys in that lineup had off seasons in my mind last year, hitting wise. Gurriel, power wise, he needs to pick it up, and Whitfield. Those are the two guys you'd have to rely on there, because you're not going to get it from Espinal. Jansen is what he is. He's a guy that'll get you some home runs and take some walks here or there. But if they don't make a move, one of those two guys has to pick it up here and take the ball to cover for Hernandez. Like, that's 30 and 80 or 90 RBIs gone.
Yep.
From last year. So that's something that they would have to pick up. And that's why I said Benintendi could be that guy that, he's not going to hit for power drive-in runs, but he's going to get on base for you. So he's going to get on base for guys to drive them in. And Conforto's that guy that could fill that hole of 30 home runs if he was signed. So it'll be interesting to see what they do here, Joe. I know that Boris said that there is they were talking to one of his clients this week. Now there's also Gallo out there. Do they take a chance on Gallo?
But anybody who they replace, I don't think will be as good as Teoscar Hernandez. So they definitely need an outfielder, and probably still another reliever, 7, 8, 9. Well, maybe not 9, 6, 7, 8, and throwing 95 to 100 miles an hour. That's what they still need. But I'd like to talk about a big trade in the Major League Baseball today, a 3-team trade, and it could affect the Blue Jays because 2 catchers went in this trade. In Milwaukee and Atlanta. Atlanta, every year they come out of nowhere and they pull up, and you know who does it? Alex Anthopoulos. So maybe you want to touch on the trade there.
Well, it takes, like you just mentioned, the Jays have some extra catchers, and if they're going to look to move someone, there's a couple spots now gone, right? Murphy going to Atlanta, Contreras going to Milwaukee. Milwaukee might still be looking for someone, but that's a spot that's now gone. So it was interesting because Atlanta, I believe, still has Travis d'Arnaud.
Yeah.
So that Murphy's he's very good defensively, Gold Glove defender, hitting wise, strikes out a lot, not the greatest there. So be interesting to see how they work things there.
Everybody who comes from who was in Oakland the year before has breakout year. Josh Donaldson has breakout years in their new team the next year after.
Olsen last year with Atlanta. Chapman had a pretty good year. Like, you got to remember too, the one thing about you got to look at this when players come from Oakland, whether it's a pitcher or a hitter, it's very pitcher friendly, that ballpark, right? Very big ballpark. So the numbers for pitchers are a little different, and hitters, you can usually add some, average and home runs when they come out. So be interested to see how Murphy does outside of the Coliseum. I think it's still called, if it is in Oakland. If his numbers improve, Olsen's look like they improved some last year. Well, Atlanta always makes moves, but that's because they're not concerned about money, right? Whereas some teams are, they try to, go dumpster diving, for lack of a better word, to get players.
Blue Jays is not concerned about money, or that's the perception. I'm so tired of every year. All right, and you know this, during the winter meetings and during the offseason, they're on this guy, they're in on this guy, they're in on this guy. Well, what's the problem then? If they're in on there and they can spend money, is there a problem that the type A free agents don't want to call them? But then you could say Springer's a type A free agent.
At that time, Ryu was a type A free agent, right? So it's not. I don't think it's that. I don't think that players don't want to come to Toronto or Canada. It's a strange situation, because I think there is players that obviously want more money to come to Toronto, and that's what the case is sometimes. That we saw with Springer, we saw with Ryu, they probably had to give an extra year to get those guys here. And maybe with these guys that they're chasing down, like Nimmo this year, they didn't want to go that far, right? Like 8 years and what was it, 160 million, where the heck it was for Nimmo is a little bit of an overpay. But you look at the Mets. The Mets don't care. The Mets, I read, their payroll is going to be like $350 million this year, and they're going to pay $70 million or $80 million in luxury tax. And there's still talk that they're checking in on Carrera.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
So that's that's an owner that doesn't care about what he spends, and that should tell you too with what these teams are spending, how much money these owners are making.
well, and that's further to more the other side of New York. The Yankees are preparing a pitch for a good pitcher, something
Yeah.
the Blue Jays could Rendon there, and
Yep.
they got Garrett Cole. They spent 360, 300.
Yep.
I'll repeat it again, $360 million for Aaron Judge.
Yep.
Right,
And you look at the Yankees, though, they haven't really improved from last year yet.
no,
All they did was re-sign their guys, right? They re-signed Rizzo, Judge. I think a couple other pitchers they re-signed. So they're going to make a move here. It'll probably Rodon, but he now wants 8 years. There's a guy too. He's had two
pitcher,
pretty good
8
years.
years.
Well, back-to-back years he's had pretty good, but he's injured an awful lot. And for a pitcher to give him 8 years, I don't know if the Yankees want to give 8 years to him for 180, 190 million dollars.
So we actually have a question here. Hold on, and I want your opinion on this one. It comes from Steve and wants the Blue Jays. Should the Blue Jays take a chance on Chapman? I don't know if he's available, but should they take a chance on him?
No, I wouldn't. I think Chapman's a little bit of a problem. I think he's an issue. He's had problems before, whether it's with violence. Last year, not showing up to a team meeting. So I don't think you want that around the clubhouse. I really don't, especially a young clubhouse where they could be swayed to act a certain way from a veteran like Chapman. I wouldn't go after Chapman. I really wouldn't. I would just let him go and go wherever he wants to go.
And you never know, during spring training, some guy can impress and throw 90 or 100, or
Yep.
I mean, nobody throws 90 now, but they throw 100 and everything like that can impress there. But going in to, let's say, January now, because 2 weeks, by the way, Marty, Sunday is Hanukkah. I expect my geld, all right? In the next 2 weeks, it's already January. Going into January, the Blue Jays should get not one reliever, two relievers that throw gas, that throw 99 to 102, because every team now, I can't believe I'm saying this, Marty, you're a pitcher, 99 to 102. We need pitchers to throw 102, but every team has those pitchers now. Every team.
Yeah, the Jays have a couple in the minor league systems floating around, but they have, I guess Romano's the closest guy to get to 100. He throws 98, 99 every now and then will touch 100. I honestly, I've said it for the last couple of years. I sound like a broken record. I think Nate Pearson is the guy that, if he can stay healthy, that's the big question with this guy. Stay healthy. He could be the difference maker, whether it's out of the bullpen or if they decide to move him into the starting rotation as the number 5 guy. But that's a guy there that can make a difference.
Two questions: staying healthy.
Yep.
And there's something that they see, because everybody had a shot last year. Everybody had a shot last year, and they didn't even call this guy. Maybe they did the last week of the season, but they didn't call him up in August, in September, till the last a week or whatever.
They didn't at all last year. Like once he got injured and he got, I think it was mono he had.
Yeah, mono. Yeah.
Right. And that was it. You never saw him again, and then he ended up having the sports hernia and something else happened. So he's been nonstop injuries with this guy, and for a guy that talented to not get back up when he's healthy, I don't know. There's something there. Maybe they don't like his work ethic. Maybe he's a me guy. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but hopefully he switched, and we saw that when he went to the Mexican fall league there. Yeah. He had 12 innings. He didn't allow anything. Struck out 16 guys. So if that's the guy the Jays can get,
maybe that's why they're not too worried about it. But again, you're putting your stock in a guy who has not proven anything yet.
Yeah,
He has
you're right.
proven he's throwing 100 miles an hour,
Yeah.
but he has proven he can only throw 100 miles an hour, 50 pitches, and then he's injured. So
Yeah,
it's
that's the big thing. Maybe it is, I think they're, they've when he's got injured all these times, it looks like he's been a starter.
yeah.
I think they're, the right way might be to put him in the pen, let him just come out and throw an inning or two, a few times a week, and see if that keeps him healthy. There's lots of guys that as starters, they were always injured, and then you move to the pen and the injuries aren't as often. And maybe that's the case with Pearson, because he has thrown well once he's got comfortable in the bullpen.
So let me ask you this question here, with the Jays and Pearson and everything like that. So Pearson's a right-handed pitcher. They have Ryu. He's not gonna pitch. They have Kikuchi, and who did they sign? They have Manoa. They have Gosman. They have Barrios. They have Bassett. Their starting four
Yep.
is righty. Shouldn't they go on and maybe get a veteran, maybe trade, maybe do something, get a lefty? Because right now, honestly, can you say you're happy with the fifth starter, Kikuchi?
No, I'm not, and I didn't like the signing last year when it happened. I just thought this is a guy that has a career ERA of 5. He's never, yes, he can strike out guys, but he just walks too many guys, and I'm not comfortable with him or Mitch White for that matter. If they decide to put White as the number 5 guy, I'm not comfortable with.
And he's another right-hander.
Yep, I'm not comfortable with any of those guys as the 5 guy. I don't necessarily. It'd be nice to have that lefty in the rotation, no question about it. You can't just put a lefty in there just to put him in there to say, hey, we got a lefty in the
No,
rotation now.
in my opinion, you need to get a lefty, and I don't care if it's the 4th, 5th, or 6th starter,
Yep.
because you have Tim Mesa in the bullpen. He's adequate. He's adequate to good, right? So you take away Mesa, which lefty is pitching for the Blue Jays now? Kikuchi, I don't trust. Ryu's not coming back till September. So who do you have?
Yeah, and you're right. There isn't, but like I said, you can't just put a left-handed pitcher in the starting rotation just to put him in there. You can't be putting a guy in there like we did with Kikuchi last year, and he lasts 2 or 3 innings. There's no point in that. There's really 0 point in putting him in there to, crap the bed every time he goes out there. So if there's a guy out there, a lefty that's out there that they could put in there, that'd be fine. Like I just don't know if there's anyone around. There's no one in the, we got Anthony Kay in the minors, but he's not the guy to do that either. So it'll be, I guess if they really wanted to take a shot on someone who's a lefty, they could always check in on Drew Smiley, right, and see
That's a
if
good
that's a
name,
guy
but
that they get for a year or two.
this guy's not lefty. But I'm going to ask you, what do they do with Stripling? Like,
Yeah, I think
nobody's
Stripling's
talking
gone.
about
I
it.
think Stripling's days in Toronto are done. I think what you saw last year is the most you're ever going to get out of Ross Stripling.
Okay, but he would be good as the long term. And like in baseball, 162 games. I trust Stripling over Mitch White.
Yeah. But do you want to pay Stripling? We'll call it somewhere around $36-37 million over 3 years. I wouldn't. I definitely would not. If you want to take a 1-year deal at $10 million, okay, yeah, I'll bring Stripling.
What
Stripling's not
about 1 year
looking.
deal at 15? Because that's
He's
what
not.
I
He's
really
not coming
want.
back. He knows this is his only shot for a nice payday, and he's going to take it. Whether he ends up in Baltimore, whether he ends up in Boston, maybe he ends up with the Yankees. Who knows, right? But he's going to get his 3-year deal worth somewhere between, I would say $35 to $40 million. That's what I would say, somewhere in that neighborhood for Ross Stripling. And to me, I know people love Ross Stripling. They do. And, he did his job here. You can't complain with what he did when he was here. I just can't say I would spend that on him.
All right, so let's look at Major League Baseball for a little bit, okay?
Yep.
So we know about the Mets and Yankees, okay? That's give and take. What in the blue hell are the Chicago Cubs doing, and the Texas Rangers?
Yeah. And Texas, when you look at it, like they've they signed DeGrom, then they go out and they get Heaney.
Haney, yep.
I'm not a big Haney's another to me. Yes, he had a nice season with the Dodgers. I don't think that's the guy. But hitting wise, they still have a couple holes hitting wise, and their bullpen needs some work. So Texas has still some holes. You look at that division still that they're in.
Yeah.
They have Houston and Seattle in front of them. That's awfully tough. And then who knows what the Angels do in that division. So that's a tough spot that Texas is in there. The Cubs, again, I guess they're trying to rebuild by getting some guys, and who knows what else they sign or who else they go after.
Here's another good question. Keep cutting me those questions. This one's from Kelly, and I don't know if it's a boy or girl, but whatever. He says Cole Hamels says he's coming back. Do the Jays take a chance on Cole Hamels?
What is he?
That could be something, you know.
Yeah, there could be a chance that you could say, let's see, it's down to a minor league contract, see how he does down there, and bring him up. There's obviously going to be those guys that you could sign to minor league deals, right? So I wouldn't go after a guy like that, Cole Hamels. I just wouldn't. If I'm gonna look to find another guy in the rotation that's left-handed, Drew Smiley's the guy I might knock on the door and see, hey, what will it take to get you here? If it's not too much, hey, we sign you in Kikuchi, you're in the pen for now, or send him down to the minors if they can, or release him. I don't know what they would do, but there's still time. And I said this last time we were on the show. I said that I thought the Jays were going to, a couple signings, maybe 3 free agent signings so far. One is confirmed in Bassett. Kiermaier, I guess they're still waiting on the physical. That's what I'm waiting for, is to see if he passes that physical with the surgery he had on his hip, right? So still a lot of time left in this free. Still a lot of big names out there like Carrera, Swanson.
You're not going to go after that. Carrera wants 30 to 35 million.
Right? Well, you know what? And that's the thing. Like, Carrera might be the best out of all those shortstops.
Yeah,
right?
But you're going to give him 35 million.
And
if you look at Carrera, you're going to go. Carrera's not going to sign a 1-year deal again.
No, there's no. He's
7-year deal. Probably 200 million, maybe more. So if you take Carrera, do you already? Let's say you bring in Carrera. Do you say already in a year or two bye-bye to Bo?
Well, if you were to, and that's interesting. I was talking to someone about the other day. Do you go and look at signing Carrera or even Swanson for that matter, right?
Yeah.
To a 8, 9, 10-year contract, and then turn around and trade for something else, because you're going to have your shortstop for 10 years.
Yep.
Right, and when it comes time
to move to second base, that's the problem, because you can ask Bo, but will Bo move? Because Bo knows.
Right now, Bo would have to move. Right, it doesn't matter. Bo has no leverage whatsoever. They got him for another 3 years. The thing is, the situation that's going to come up is do they, like, Bo's sitting there, licking his lips, that watching what these shortstops are getting, because outside of defense, he's just as good offensively as all those guys, right? So I think the starting point for him is going to be, $250 million at 10 years, right?
Now,
so
you brought in a good point. Sorry, you brought in a good point. Correa or Swanson, who would you take if the money's right and everything like that, and you have?
I take Carrera only because he's done over a longer period. Swanson had a good year last year. Okay years before that. Carrera's the guy I would go after if I'm going to go. Out of all the shortstops there, I would have still went after Carrera. Turner's nice, yes, but Carrera I just think is a guy that has proven it, really. Like, and you look at him, all the Astro guys take heat for what happened when they won the World Series. And he hasn't faltered. He hasn't, shied away from it. He was up front with everything. He didn't just go hide in a corner. So I like that in a guy. Like, he just sits there and he takes the abuse from it, and he goes and he still performs. Carrera's a guy I would like to see. I don't think it's going to happen. I really don't. But if they did, that would be a really nice addition to that order, right? That would take care of the, Hernandez missing.
Yeah, who plays outfield, or could Bo go to the outfield?
That's another interesting thing there, because you could, like, Bo could go and move out to the outfield very easily. I think that's what he could do. He's that athletic a guy. You could put him anywhere. It's just a matter of, would Bo be happy being out there. I don't think he would. I think his spot is he wants to stay shortstop. So they either have to decide: do we sign a shortstop or do we sign him to an extension and it's $250 million
And
to start?
it's very interesting with Bo because his father, Dante Bichette, arguably he great outfielder also, right? So right field. So if
Yeah,
somebody could teach you how to play, and look, I don't have to tell you, Teoscar Hernandez, what was he? A right fielder.
yep.
So that could be interesting. But are you going to spend knowing that you have to pay Bo, knowing you have to play Guerrero, knowing you have to pay, their top relievers and everything like
Well,
that?
there's and a lot of these guys are coming up all like
Yeah, all the same
Vlad and,
time.
and Bo, I believe, even though Vlad came up a little earlier than Bo, I think they become free agents at the same time in the same
Yeah,
year, which
yeah,
is, I think, 3 years away. So you
yeah.
got 3 years of those two guys under control, but do you sign them both at $250 million for 10 years? Will they take that?
One
I don't know.
will,
Then you
one
got then
won't.
you got
You
to
know
look at
that.
Manoa. Are you gonna sign Manoa to an extent? So there's some big money it's going to be spent here over the next couple of years on their own players. Not even going outside of free agency, keeping
Yeah.
their own guys around.
And
Yes,
and then let's
guys like
you
Ryu's
also
off the
have
books.
Gosman coming, and you also I know he signed 3 years. Like these guys, 3 to 5 years, but already 1 or 2 years are done. So they have a window, 3 to 5 years. It's like the Maple Leafs have,
Yep,
right?
yep,
And,
yep. You're right, and I think that's part of the reason why Hernandez was sent. They say it wasn't about money, but when they're looking at the big picture, they know at the end of this year they're not going to re-sign Hernandez anyways because they're not going to give him, you know, 18 to 20 million dollars a year when they got to look after their two big boys coming up in Vlad and Bo. So that's going to be an interesting conversation throughout the year. Do they sign an extension? Vlad wants to sign the extension. Does Bo? I don't know if Bo does.
oh,
I,
Bo
I
doesn't.
really don't know. Like he keeps his cards so close to the chest that you don't know what he's thinking. Whereas Vlad, he likes Toronto and he wants to be there.
And you know why Teoscar they traded Teoscar? From rumor has it, some guy told me, and you know who it is. He's the one who starts with the jacket and partying, and he was the leader of the Spanish
Well,
group.
maybe they were looking at it too is they get to save on sunflower seeds now after every home run.
Well,
That's a savings right
now
there.
they better get more jacket. All right, Marty, do you know what's in 2 minutes? In 2 minutes, it's Monday Night Raw. All right, I
Monday
know.
Night Raw.
But Marty, the big question from Patricia, from Kelly, from William, from Rue something or other wants to know: will you be on the World Cup update? It's the semifinals and finals this week of the greatest game sports in the world. It's the World Cup.
Yeah, it's
Will
the,
you
it's
be
the
on?
biggest it's the biggest obviously event of all the sports around. That's for sure. The World Cup. I just haven't been able to watch. I tried to watch and I watched only because I was at the barber shop the other day. I was getting a haircut and my barber
You
had
got
it
a haircut?
on.
Let's see. No, wait. Well, let's see. Let's see the haircut. Wait, the producer's going to do a good job there. There. Let's see. Look. Let's see. Oh,
Oh
you
yeah,
put
look,
the
like top drawer stuff. Top drawer
top,
stuff right there.
top door stuff. All right, and the
But
goatee
I
also.
watched it, and in the 10 minutes I watched it, I saw a handball that wasn't called, and they didn't even go upstairs to review it, which they can do, is my understanding. Is
Yes,
why what does it take just to go and review it,
30 seconds.
right? So why would they done that? That would have been a free kick or penalty kick, whatever you want to call it, for was it Portugal?
Yeah.
Yeah, for Portugal. And then I saw a guy get a red card because he stepped on someone's foot while he was, or a yellow card. Sorry, I guess it was his second yellow, which made it a red.
Yes.
And he stepped on his foot when he was going to
On the
kick the
top.
ball, and that was all of a sudden. And then some other guy came from behind someone from Morocco and hit the Portugal player from behind, and no call there. I was like, I can't watch this.
All right, Marty. I'm going to ask you because Raw's starting out. I'm going to ask you for your semifinal picks. All right, Argentina, Croatia tomorrow, 2 p.m.
I'm, you know what? Croatia's been playing good.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Croatia.
Wrong. Wednesday, France, Morocco.
You know what? Here's the only reason why I'm going with this is because I believe Morocco and Croatia were in Canada's group.
Yes.
Both of those are going to the finals.
And people criticize Canada, but not bad. Canada was in a group with the second-rated country in the world, Belgium. Belgium didn't make it, but now I could say they're in the semifinals, potentially in the finals. Croatia, Morocco, and let's see what happens. But of course, Messi. Everybody wants Messi. Kylian Mbappe from France is arguably the best player in soccer today. Could be a good final, and FIFA, they have a little bit of money, so money talks.
They have a little bit of money. They have a little bit of controversy. They have a little bit of everything. I don't know if you talked with Carm about the reporter that was died there, but that's a very big story. If you ask me, like I don't know what happened there. I really don't.
Apparently, he had a heart attack, but he felt bad. Monday, like 5 days before it happened.
Yeah, they said he had bronchitis. They gave him some cough syrup and something like that. But I saw
should be
videos.
Investigated.
But are you going to be able to? Right. This is a country that doesn't follow certain, I guess,
guidelines. Put it that
guidelines of what other countries follow. So it'll be interesting. I saw the video that his brother posted, and he was very upset because that's the reason why he wore that T-shirt is because of his brother, and he thinks, according to him, it wasn't just he passed away of natural causes. So it's going to be interesting to see if this is taken further. It's what was he, a 40-something-year-old man?
48, and Marty, I'm 48 years old. So
and he looked like he was in good shape. Yeah. So you never know. I'm not saying something he was murdered or anything like that, but it definitely is going to have to be looked into after the whole situation that happened over there.
So Marty, as we close it out, since it's my father's.
Oh wait, Carm, take that. I could talk soccer too, like you could talk basketball.
Yeah, well, what about Drew Ebanks here? Okay, so by the way, Drew Marty, I got from Popiano, wants since it's my father's birthday, wants you to sing "Happy Birthday." So I'm gonna give it to the Grizzled Young, and it's my father. Don't put it. So I got you here good. All right, Marty. As we close out Blue Jay Strike Zone, check out Marty, Old Lefty 22. We'll be back here. Throughout the off season, but Marty Roberts making, I can't say singing debut, but he's gonna sing. So go ahead.
I'm gonna say a couple verses, and that's it.
All right, go ahead.
It's gonna be just happy birthday to Joe's papa. Happy birthday to Joe's papa. Happy birthday, dear Joe's papa. Happy birthday to you.
Now he wants you to sing it in Moroccan.
I'll get back to him on that. Hey, here's another thing I saw. Look, I'm a soccer guy. Pele getting better, or Pele.
Yes, Pele
getting better. Getting better. See, I follow. I follow everything.
All right, what's the World Cup trophy called then?
I don't know.
Like the Stanley Cup is called the Stanley Cup, right?
Yep.
The Larry O'B is the NBA trophy. Now the World Cup trophy, what's it called?
The FIFA trophy.
You're wrong. But when you come back here again, and by the way, Saturday, I got to say this because we have Taylor Woods watching. Saturday, Toronto 6 losing. Sunday they won. Saturday you came out dressed as Kipling. That's why they lost. You got fired again. All right, Marty.
I think Taylor was just worried that day because I was showing up with the sign that said, "Where's my jersey?" And so she was more concerned.
Taylor Wood, I don't know if you know this, did not play on Saturday. It's because of Marty Roberts. Marty Roberts was thrown out as Kipling, and Taylor Woods had to come.
If she didn't play and they lost, that tells you what's needed. And she played on Sunday, did she?
Yes.
And they won on Sunday?
Yes. 5-2.
So it's a simple solution. Taylor Wood plays every game. She gives you your best chance to win.
I agree. And if you have a problem with that, take it up with Justin Roberts or just Justin Levine. Sorry, Justin Roberts was the fake. All right, Marty Roberts. Thanks a lot. And tell everybody once again how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, Twitter, Instagram, Old Lefty 22, and look out for the Jays to sign a couple more guys.
And you know, I think this year, because you're a little bit older, right? Should be older Lefty 22.